Hey all, John Felt here. This is the Blue Water Outlook Weekly Weather Briefing for the 3rd of March. Boy, I tell you, lots going on. It's going to be sort of hard to get through this briefing in a short period of time. A lot going on last week, a lot going on this week, lots of different weather impacts, some like winter, some like spring. Let's get started right away in today's weekly weather briefing. Now, this gives you some idea of all the areas impacted by active weather over the last week. Areas in blue, the western U.S., cold weather impacts, snow, blizzard conditions in this area. And in the east, severe storms, heavy rain. All these little triangles, red triangles, represent tornado touchdowns. Generally, the theme of this briefing is going to be cold in the west and mild in the east, and that's what we saw last week. Now, we also had wildfires in the central U.S. We still have active fire weather conditions in these areas in pink. The panhandle of Texas, 500 plus homes destroyed, biggest wildfire in Texas recorded history. Meanwhile, out in the west, major blizzard, nearly 100 inches of snow at higher elevations, 60 to 80 mile an hour winds, snow falling at a rate of 2 to 6 inches per hour, and that's an extreme blizzard, shut down things in the higher elevations of the Sierra Nevadas. Now let's go back and take a look at winter, some preliminary data here. December, January, and February meteorological winter. I've been talking about this all winter long. Take a look at the upper Midwest, Great Lakes. In that dark red, the warmest winter on record, but many areas across the nation, top 25 warmest. So pretty mild just about everywhere this winter, but especially the Great Lakes, upper Midwest, and let's not forget the Northeast as well. Take a look at precipitation. This is the areas, the wet areas are in blue and dry areas in brown. Now, one of the things that sort of caught me off guard, I usually cover this pretty extensively, is the spring green up, and I remember to take a look at this and look at this area in red. It is running 20 days earlier than normal in that dark shade of red across the central U.S. and the mid-Atlantic region. So, and the western U.S. as well. So many areas running ahead of schedule. The only area that it's not is where it arrived late, and that's in blue. So anywhere that's any shading here, there's some sign of the emergence of spring. So this was last week precipitation, and you can see the eastern third, or maybe the eastern quarter of the nation, soaking rain, 1 to 2 inches of rain. But the most active regions were the west coast, Pacific Northwest coast. Higher elevations of the Cascades and the Sierras really got a lot of snow last week, and more snow is occurring at this time. Speaking of snow, in addition to the snow at higher elevations of the west, a little bit of snow in the Midwest, a little bit more snow up in North Dakota, but with the current temperatures, that has all melted. This is the current snow on the ground, and even that 6 inches of snow up here, that's going to be gone probably today. But take a look at the snow depth here at the higher elevations of the west. Now, temperatures last week well above normal in most of the nation, especially the central U.S. That red is indicating 10 degrees or more above normal, and the warmest temperatures of the week made it into the 70s, anywhere in yellow, and near 80 degrees in the orange. Texas made it up into the 80s and even into the 90s, where we have that purple, that's nearing 95. So I guess I need to talk about not spring, but summer in Texas. Okay, as far as dew points go, that's another sign of spring. They're beginning to work further and further up to the north. And remember that transition to spring, some weeks it's going to feel like winter, some weeks it's going to feel like spring. It doesn't usually just arrive and stick around. We'll see this spring, and I'll be talking about that a lot more. So as far as rivers go, compliments of the USGS water dashboard. You can see areas along the east coast, especially the northeast, and then along the west coast are the areas where rivers are running high. That's in blue. And where they're running low, that's in red, is generally through the central U.S. Okay, so let's start talking about the forecast. And what we have is an amplified flow with a digging trough in the west, and that's associated with cooler than normal weather, and a pretty impressive ridge in the east, and that's associated with some really mild weather. As we get towards the middle part of the week, we have a vigorous system that's going to be moving through this direction, and it's going to be bringing a lot of rain over the southeast U.S. Now, as far as temperatures go, this is showing 5-day averages, so it's not going to show some of the detail. There are going to be some cool days in here. But overall, I think the trend here that you see is this divide with the western U.S. cooler than normal and the eastern U.S. warmer than normal, and especially the next 5 days, a very significant gradient, much cooler than normal in the northwest U.S. and much milder than normal in the eastern U.S. So that's temperature. Let's talk about rain and snow. Here's the rain this week, and I talked about all the heavy rain, snow in the Sierra Nevadas. That's also going to affect parts of the west coast of the U.S., Pacific Northwest. But the big story, I think, is going to be the southeast U.S. and parts of the mid-Atlantic region. And we're going to have multiple systems, one early in the week, one again in the second part of the week, and that's going to produce 2 to 4 inches of rain. And one of the things I always look at is how widespread it is. So that could cause some problems over the southeast U.S. with rivers. It was wet last week as well, so let's keep an eye on that for the potential for flooding this week. There's a close-up of it. This is over 4 inches of rain is possible around Atlanta, Birmingham, and Atlanta. But look how widespread the 3 inches of rain is. So again, very heavy rain. Any snow this week? Maybe a little ice in North Dakota with some cold air at the surface and warmer air aloft. But most of the snow is going to be at the higher elevations of the west. I wanted to show you Des Moines here just to put in perspective temperatures. Look at today, 76, and the normal is the purple line. So the normal is about, let's say, 43, 44 degrees. That's 30 degrees above normal. And even if it comes down, that it's only going to come down to normal and then go right back up. So that's sort of been the story so far this winter. Okay, let's look at week 2, 6 to 10 day in week 2. And again, I think this, what I want to point out is that divide between the western U.S. below normal temperatures and the northern tier of the U.S., what we saw in that winter trend will remain unusually mild. And taking a look at climatology for March, here we go. This area in blue, that is usually wet, and the snowy areas are the mountains. The blue, it's not all usually that snowy, although we can get a late season snow event. And quite windy in the plains as well. It can be a cloudy month. Anyway, that's this week's briefing. I'll probably be talking about that climatology a little bit more as I go through the week. Hope you have a great week, and if you're in the middle part of the nation, it looks pretty nice. Take care.